2007 FF1M season is almost underway. Now let's review the 10 pre-season tests. Since each team can only attend 3 of the 5 circuits that are hosting the test sessions, the picture hasn't always been so clear. However, 3 drivers have stood out in particular. They are Robert Kubica for Gi Racing, Sebastian Vettel for Dark Wolf, and Kimi Räikkönen for MRD. Each of those 3 drivers have topped a test day at least twice, but Sebastian Vettel has topped the most. Another driver featuring near the top of the timesheets is Lewis Hamilton. Not exactly fresh from his FF2M Championship win, his races with Gi Racing weren't the best, but in testing he's been performing very well. World champions FJR have been pretty quiet during testing. They opted to put Ricardo Zonta rather than world champion Nico Rosberg in pre-season testing in order for the Brazilian to reacclimatise himself into the world of FF1M. He managed the 5th fastest time in Day 2 Taupo, but other than that he's been setting times which have been in the midfield. And there will be 17 races to decide who will win the Drivers' and the Constructors' Championship. Bahrain won't feature on this year's calendar, having produced a disappointing race in 2006. Australia regains the first race slot. There will be 2 races in Japan, one at Suzuka taking place at round 3 and one at the Mount Fuji circuit taking place at round 16. The Austrian Grand Prix makes a welcome return to the FF1M calendar, having been absent since 2004. The last driver to win at that circuit was Cristiano de Mata for Dark Wolf. The Turkish round has been shifted to a later slot on the calendar, and once again there will be 2 races in Germany. Now let's have a look at each of the 14 teams that are taking part this season. SF1 Racing are a brand new team to appear from Germany, and they face a tough test. They have 2 very experienced drivers in Rubens Barrichello and Giancarlo Fisichella to help their cause out of pre-qualifying, but it will be difficult with a brand new Ferrari V8. The AJ team didn't have a good return to FF1M last season. They failed to make it into a race. They're building their own V10 Turbo to help their cause into a race, and they have dependable German Nick Heidfeld and Indian newcomer Narain Karthikeyan to help their cause. Andy Racing were in a major quandary in 2006, frequently not making it into races thanks to Luca Badoa. Christian Albers is still a quick driver during testing, and with a new young driver in the form of Brit Adam Carroll, they can certainly be more confident of making it into more races. Like the AJ team, Exelite had a torrid return to FF1M last season, failing to make it into a race due to a lack of technologies that other teams possess. Their campaign for this season should be a better one, with 2 very good drivers, including a 3-time world champion in Jarno Trulli. It just depends on how committed team boss James Whiteley can be in keeping up with car development this season if they're to make it out of pre-qualifying. The Mitchell team had a somewhat inconsistent 2006. Sometimes they would bring up the back end of the grid, and sometimes they would race well, such as Davidson's 4th place in Monaco. They may slip to the back end of the midfield, with brand new Renault V8s and an inconsistent Kovalainen on board. Tornado are a very difficult team to read this season. They showed some strong performances last season, particularly with Button, with a superb podium in Japan. They're familiar with the Mercedes engine, but a brand new lineup of ex-Pedersen driver Mark Webber and Giorgio Pantano could be a concern for them. The MRD team could be facing their most difficult season yet, being the only team on a relatively new Honda V8. Even with 2 strong drivers, Räikkönen and Glock, they'll be lucky to score a podium, but if they can develop their car precisely, they'll be regular point scorers. The ever charismatic Dodgem team had a good season last time out, with race wins from Bordeaux and third in the championship. It will be difficult for them to stay there though, with a brand new Ferrari V8, and whether the psychology of Ralf Schumacher will be positively set after he was unceremoniously dumped by Pedersen last season. The controversial Guy Racing have had it tough in recent seasons, with wins seldom. Ex-Shake and Bake driver Robert Kubica will definitely be a major boost, but brand new Toyota engines could cause some difficulties. They should be up there in the points, but wins look like a long shot. Shannon provided a strong championship attack last season when they battled hard against FJR. 2007, however, looks like a more challenging affair for the Belfast-based team, with brand new Renault V8s. Their lineup is strong, with a fast Tony Eliozzi and an ever-improving Jenson Button, but Shannon would be lucky to score wins this season. Dark Wolf have frequently used the tactic of waiting after the silly season before signing a driver or two, and with the departure of Venture Racing, they've scored themselves a huge driver in Sebastian Vettel, who has been mighty in testing. They have a good engine in the form of the Mercedes, and they can score a few wins. 2006 was a trying season for Pedersen, dropping their champion Ralph in favour of Neil Yarney, who scored a superb win in a Canadian race after a late pit stop. On paper, this season should see them back to their front-running ways, with arguably the strongest lineup in the field in Alonso and Yarney. FJR brilliantly won both championships last time out, and with Rosberg staying on for another 2 seasons, they'll be looking for more. Their constructors' defence will be entirely dependent on whether FF1M returnee Ricardo Zonta can shake off any race rustiness he may have and get on form. Even so, FJR face an onslaught from a resurgent Pedersen and, in my opinion, the favourites for this season. After a difficult 2006, all of a sudden, Shake and Bake looks set for their best season yet, with the fiery FF2M champion Lewis Hamilton and probably the best engine in the field, the BMW. Teammate Jean-Marie Bruni is more of a question mark, entering his first season since the Masters era of 1991, but he has been performing well in FF2M, winning the German feature race. Expect Shake and Bake to be well up there challenging for wins. Can they win the championship? In my opinion, yes. So that was a season preview, but what will the actual racing produce? Find out in Melbourne.